Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Ka Halayim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the Akim teaching by the Mind Wild Mouth. That's in sincerity and truth. It's the brother Yatazak from Great Millstone, Dallas. And I just want to get into a lesson going into the importance and the blessing of interpretation. You know what I'm saying? And of course, this stems from Bishop Jephthah and One Body down here in Dallas. And what you notice is that the understanding that they have is only the parable itself. You see what I'm saying? It's just like in a situation with Joseph, when Joseph had to interpret the dream to Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh had a dream, and the only understanding he had was the dream itself. He had to have Joseph to break it down to him, to tell him what the dream meant, right? And the same thing with Daniel in the situation with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, but the only understanding he had was the dream itself, right? And then you fast forward to the time of the Lord, when Yahushua was speaking to the people in parables. He would speak to the people in parables, but he wouldn't break it down to them, right? He would break it down to the disciples. So the people that received the parable, if he didn't break it down, the only understanding they had was whatever they could interpret on their own, right? And being able to interpret what the Lord is saying is crucial when it comes to salvation. The scriptures talk about it being a mystery. The scriptures talk about only the prophets having it. The scriptures talk about you needing a man to teach you, right? But that's what I'm saying. So if all you have is the understanding of the parable and not the actual breakdown of the parable, you can't just teach the parable like it's a doctrine. And this is what Bishop Jephthah of One Body is doing. You see? He has the understanding of the parable, just the parable itself. But when it comes to the actual breakdown, that's where he drops the ball. You see what I'm saying? It's a gift from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to be able to have the understanding necessary for repentance, right? So if you're going to have the name Yahweh Shai in your group name, in your organization's name, and diminish the Messiah, then why would he unlock those mysteries unto you? It said to them, it is not given, but to you it is. So if you can go into the Lord making water out of wine and get some out of it than what it's actually talking about, then you were just left with the parable. You see? In this case, you will be likened to those same people that thought the Lord was saying, drink my blood and eat my flesh, referring to cannibalism, when he was actually referring to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You see what I mean? So I say all that to say this. Lord willing, this lesson to be edifying, but the gift of interpretation is not given to everybody. Everybody don't understand how to break this Bible down, man. You know? And before I came into the truth, I was one of those people that didn't know how to break it down. Right? But here we go. Let's get 2 Corinthians chapter 12, going into the gifts. Right? All right, let me see where let me get a good start. All right. Let's start at 27. It says, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 27. It says, now ye are the body of Hamashiach, and members in particular. And Yahweh has set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, governments, diversities, and tongues, right? Tongue meaning language. English is a tongue. English is a language. So even if you breaking down the scriptures in English, you still have to break down the meaning of the scripture, right? This guy is under the impression that pulling another precept is breaking down the last one. No, not quite. What you need to do is however many precepts that you pull to make your point, you have to break those down. That's why I'm breaking down 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Because the Lord gave gifts to the ministry. And those men in the ministry, you have apostles, right? Those men that are sent away, you know what I'm saying, to preach the word. Then you have the prophets, those men who are studying the scriptures to let the people know what's coming. Because the thing about a prophet is not making things up. A prophet is going into the scrolls and breaking these things down to understand what the Lord is saying so he can report it to the people. Once that report is given to the people, it's up to it's not on the prophet to determine who receives it and who doesn't. It's just the prophet's job to put the information out there, right? It says, then thirdly, you got teachers. Teachers go into prophets, right? Professor, teacher, prophesy, all those things go into the same subject, right? It says gifts of healings, right? Now, technically right now, you have brothers that's understanding how to be a physician, understanding how herbs work, making tinctures and making medicines and so on and so forth. But it's going to come a point to where that's going to manifest into a physical, to where something is going to happen to a brother, maybe at camp or wherever. And the spirit is going to be on one of the Lord's chosen men to heal that man right there on the spot. And that's going to bring forth more followers. That's going to bring forth more believing. That's going to make people search for the understanding. You see? Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? Have all the gifts of healing? Do all speak with tongues? Do all interpret? But covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet show I unto you a more excellent way. So all these are different gifts that were given by Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai to the prophets to authenticate, right? That word authenticate means that the Lord is using these men that are in the flesh to do certain things to show his power, to bring his people back to him. Okay? That's what the Lord is doing. All right? Now, 1 Corinthians 14:5, it says, I would that ye all speak with tongues, right? Being able to speak in different languages because our people were scattered abroad. But rather that ye prophesied, right? Tell the people what's coming in whatever language it is. Tell the people what's coming so they have an opportunity to get right, right? Because through the fear of the Most High we persuade men. For greater is he that prophesied than he that speaketh with tongues, right? But you can be able to do both. You see? But being able to tell the people what the Lord is about to do is huge, man. And you have to be able to interpret the scriptures, right? Understand it and break it down to where they can understand it, right? I didn't understand the Bible until it was broken down to me by the apostles and elders of Great Millstone through the Spirit. You see? And I tried reading the Bible before. I just didn't get it. It wasn't my time, right? But through men that interpreted the scriptures, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, those were the men that I was led to teach me. Right? And through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, I was able to interpret the scriptures to where I can make my calling and election sure by teaching what I was taught. It says, I would that ye all speak with tongues, but rather that ye prophesied. For greater is he that prophesied than he that speaketh with tongues, except he interpret that the church may receive, right? So if I'm speaking in Spanish, if I'm teaching in Spanish, the Spanish speaking tribes are going to be able to understand, right? Because everybody that speaks Spanish don't speak English. Everybody that speaks English don't speak Spanish. You see, you have all these different tongues, and that's why it was a miracle when Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai put the Spirit on the apostles, and no matter who they was talking to, no matter what tongue they spoke, they were able to understand the truth. That was a miracle, man. That wasn't no allegory. You see what I'm saying? All right. This is 1 Corinthians 14:13. It says, wherefore let him that speaketh in an unknown tongue pray that he may interpret. Right? And that's even in English, man. So when the reader reads the scripture in English, we have to break it down in English. We can't just echo and repeat what he says. We have to explain what happened. We have to explain what it's talking about. And one body don't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen nobody else teach. You know what I'm saying? You might have a couple of brothers. You might have a couple of officers that may teach out on the highways and the byways. But see, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, the word got to be preached all over the four corners, man. That's why the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, they say, look, man, if you've been in this thing for 6 months to a year, And you understand you're supposed to be pushing the word. You can't have an organization where only a handful of men get to teach and they don't even have it right. You know how many people gonna die because of that? So even if it's in English, you have to interpret it, Bishop Jephthah. I don't know if they went out there and told you, but bro, you got a lot of explaining to do. You have to explain the scriptures, man. The people don't know. It's just like when you was out. It's just like when y'all knocking on people's doors. You knocking on people's doors, telling them that they wicked. Not you. You telling them they wicked before you tell them that they Israelites, man. You can't do that, man. 1 Corinthians 14:27. It says, if any man in any unknown tongue, let it be by two or at the most three, and that by course let one interpret. You see? So you may have a situation to where an Issacharite walks up, or a Spanish speaking tribe, either one of them, and they see their name on the sign because they can read English. You know what I'm saying? Because I can read certain things in Spanish, but that don't mean I can speak it. You see what I'm saying? So when they see their nation on the sign, if you have a brother that can speak Spanish, then he can break it down. You see brothers breaking down the scriptures in the Spanish. You seen Apostle Elder Gabar breaking the scriptures down in Italian. Brothers breaking the scriptures down in patois, in French, in German. Right? That's what it's talking about. To be able to interpret, to be able to understand. Matter of fact, let's get the word interpret. Yeah, let's get the word interpret. We ain't gonna play no games with you, bro. You know? Yeah, that's what we gonna do. We just gonna get the word interpret. Alright.
Strong's G 1329. Diermenuo.
Alright. That's the word for interpret. It says to unfold the meaning of what is said. Right? To unfold the meaning of what it says. So when Bishop Jephthah went into unfolding the meaning of what was said concerning Yahushua and the wedding and filling up those 6 basins with water and turning it into wine. You dropped the ball on that, bro. You see? You want to be deeper than everybody else instead of just bringing out the truth in its purest form. That was a miracle that the Lord performed. Okay? The Lord performed that miracle. Right? It is what it is. Right? And that was the first miracle. That was the first miracle that jumped off his ministry, man. So the people could see what he was about. The people could see the divinity in him. The people could see that the Most High was working with him. Right? Now that we understand that, we understand that interpretation is a gift, being able to interpret the scriptures, right? Private interpretation. Let's get into that real quick. All right. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 20, it says, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. Now let's see what that word private means. Let's get it.
Strong's G 2398. Idios.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's where the word idiot comes from. Right? Pertaining to oneself, belonging to oneself, right? That's what I'm saying, meaning you haven't got out your own way. You know what I'm saying? You want to break the scripture down. You wanted to say what you wanted to say instead of what the Lord is actually saying and bringing that to the people. That will make you an idiot. If you want to choose your way rather than the Lord's way, that will make you an idiot. All right? And the scriptures ain't of no private interpretation. Ain't no idiot finna break these scriptures down, man. The Lord ain't dealing with idiots, man. Okay? That private interpretation, that private interpretation, wanting to be deep and going extra and doing all this. No. The Lord performed a miracle, bro. Either you believe that or you don't. If you don't believe that was a miracle, that's fine. But we do. All right? Unbelievable, man. private interpretation. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, we got the interpret. We got interpret already. Let's get interpretation. Did it all come together? Let's get interpretation. That's a different word. Let's see if something else come up.
Strong's G, 1955. Epilusis. Epilusis.
Mm-hmm. All right, unloosening, metaphor, interpretation. All right, so you loosen the interpretation by saying that the Lord didn't perform a miracle, man. No, that's airtight, man. That's lock solid, man. The Lord did that, bro. You know? Your name, one body in Yahweh Shai, but Yahweh Shai didn't do nothing. That's what I'm saying, dog. That don't make no fucking sense. Yeah, I said the F word. I got a whole lot more, but it ain't about me. All right? All right, let's go back. All right. Now, let's get this Genesis 41:8. And what I want to do is, through the Spirit, show you the value of interpretation, man. All right? This is Genesis 41:8. It says, "And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof." This is going into after Pharaoh had his dream, right? "And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret." Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at the top. This is Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up 7 well-favored and fat kine, so Pharaoh awoke." Right? This is the dream that he had. "And he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon a stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured 7 rank and full ears, and Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof, and Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto the Pharaoh." Now keep in mind, he went and got all the magicians, he went and got everybody that he could possibly get to break this dream down, right? Because all he had was the dream itself. He didn't know what that corn meant. He didn't know what that lean animal meant and what that fat animal meant. He didn't know what none of that meant. All he knew was what he saw in the dream, right? And that's what I'm saying. That's the same thing with these people in the scriptures. All they know is what they see, but it has to be broken down, right? Just like what Philip broke down to the Ethiopian. He said, "Look, I'm not gonna know unless a man teach me. Yeah, I'm reading the words, I see the words, but I don't get it. Somebody's gonna have to break this down to where somebody's gonna have to interpret this to where I can understand it." Right? And this is the same position Pharaoh was in, right? He didn't get it, even though it was his dream. It happened in his head. He was the one that was asleep. The magicians didn't get it, right? But Joseph did, right? Which was a blessing unto Joseph, because Joseph had got put into slavery by his own brothers, man. And through interpretation of those dreams, man, that's how he was able to bring himself up out of that low state, man. He ended up being a high figure in the Pharaoh's kingdom. Why? Because the value of interpretation is important, man. You see? Just like when the apostles and elders told you during 9/11, man. It was people hitting up their website so tough trying to figure out what the hell was going on, because they saw what was on the surface, but they couldn't understand. They couldn't break down why it was happening, so they was looking for the apostles. Same thing, bro. Same thing. You can read the scrolls all day, but if you don't understand them, you ain't teaching. Right? It says, "Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day." All right? It says, "Pharaoh was wroth with him, his servants, and put him in a ward in the captain of the guard's house. both me and the chief baker, right? Let me see. Let me go down to where he break the dream down. All right, it says, and when we dreamed of the dream in one night, I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was a young man, a Hebrew, the servant of the captain of the guard, and we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream, he did interpret. So a dream in this situation would be likened to a parable. And you have somebody that can break the parable down, and you have people that can't break the parable down. Joseph was able to break down this dream just like we're able to break down these parables. Okay? It says, and it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me, he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. The Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and came in unto the Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. All right, so let's get the Hebrew word for interpret. See if it say anything any different. All right. All right, the word is pathar. Right? Interpret, dreams, right? Alright, interpret dreams. Biblical usage. Alright, interpret dreams. Alright. To open up, right? To open up the understanding, to be able to interpret the dream so that Pharaoh can know, because he was troubled by the dream, right? And it was on Joseph to let him know what it was. Alright. And Pharaoh told them his dream. Okay, let me go back. Alright. Verse 13, and it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was, me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one that can interpret it, and I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand and understand the dream and interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not me, right? That's what I'm saying. He gave all power and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. He said, it is not me. Yahweh shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. How is he going to do that? Through Joseph. Okay? It says, and Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of a river, and behold, there came upon the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed, and well-favored, and they fed in the meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kind eat up the first 7 fat kind. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. And I awoke, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered thin, and blasted with the east wind, and sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 ears, the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of the Pharaoh is one, right? The Most High, Yahweh, has showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. Right? This makes Joseph a prophet at this point. Right? Because he's taking what the Lord said to Pharaoh through that dream and prophesying his future. Prophesying the future of that nation. Right? But without Joseph, Pharaoh wouldn't have knew nothing. So without the prophets and the thorough understanding, the people not going to know nothing, man. See? So when you have somebody reading for you, you have to break down what they reading, not echo and repeat everything they say, man. You have to explain that. Here it is, you're going to pull 3 other precepts without breaking down the first one. That don't make no sense, man. That ain't how you teach. That ain't how you teach properly. All right? That ain't how you teach the hopeful elect. That ain't how you teach the elect of the nation of Israel, man. I don't know who your crowd is or who your audience is. It might be the 2/3. If you don't repent. All right? It says that Joseph said unto the Pharaoh, now he's going to break down. Just like when the apostle said, hey, Lord, why you speaking to them in parables, man? And the Lord said, it ain't supposed to go to them. It's supposed to go to you. And he pulled them to the side and he explained exactly what that parable meant. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. Yahweh has showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 kind are 7 years. And the 7 good years are 7 years. The dream is one. So he's telling you, that's what I'm saying. He's telling him what the 7 good years were. He's telling him what the 7 kind were because he didn't know. Right? Now just think about that. Just think about that. If Joseph would have had somebody that was with him and he said, Pharaoh, tell me what happened in your dream. And then Pharaoh say everything that happened in his dream and Joseph just yell out everything Pharaoh said without explaining nothing to him. He would have been put to death. You see, he was locking up all the people that couldn't understand it. He was getting pissed off with the people who couldn't interpret it and who couldn't understand it, and they was feeling his wrath, right? Joseph was a slave, not a magician, not none of that other stuff. So he had less pull than they did. He was even lesser of value than they were. Without that understanding to tell him what this dream was about, he explained it. You got to explain it. Sitting up here yelling at a grown-ass man. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. So he's breaking down what the dream is talking about. He ain't just echoing everything that the Pharaoh said. He's explaining it to him so he can know. Once he knows what the dream means, he knows how to move forward. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Ugh. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What Yahweh is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. So he's letting you know, you're going to be good for 7 years. Everything is going to be plenteous. You know what I'm saying? So this is your opportunity to stock up, right? Because after that 7 years of plenty, it's going to be 7 years of famine. It ain't nowhere in hell Pharaoh could have known that without Joseph. It ain't nowhere in hell that the nation of Israel is going to know that the Lord is coming without the prophets. My goodness, man. That's what I'm saying, man. It says, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And all the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. Right? And then we ain't got to get into how Joseph's family was going to benefit from him being able to interpret these dreams as a gift from Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. It says, and for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by Yahweh, and Yahweh will shortly bring it to pass. Right? He even let him know you had the dream twice. So it's really about to go down. Right? It says, now therefore let Pharaoh look out. Look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years, and let them gather all food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for the store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. Right? So that dream let him know that it was going to be plenteous, and then it's going to be followed by a famine. Joseph interpreting that dream and letting him know what was going on gave him the insight to make sure he stored up for those 7 years so that 7 years of famine wouldn't be so bad. He had no way of knowing that without that being interpreted, man. If you don't interpret the scriptures, you're not teaching nobody, man. That's what I'm saying. You just reading words on the page. You have to break it down, man. The breakdown of the scriptures is what's gonna bring the people back to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, because it was a mystery. If everybody understood it, we wouldn't be in this mess, man. Come on. All right. It says, and that food should be for the store and the land against the 7 years of famine, and should be in the land of Egypt, that the land should not perish through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And the Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this man, a man in whom the spirit of Yahweh is? The spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai got to be on you for you to be able to break these things down, man. Joseph even said it. He was like, it ain't me. I don't interpret the dreams. The Lord do. He just worked through me. You see? It says, the Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as Yahweh hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Right? So when the Lord is dealing with you, man, who can be against you? He was a slave in Egypt, man. And the Lord put the spirit on him to interpret that dream, and it changed everything for us, man. Right? And I'll say this. If you do have the problem, if you do have the breakdown on all the stuff that you choose not to do on camera, then you shutting up the kingdom of heaven. So that's another strike against you, bro. It was freely given to you, freely give. Right? But if you was giving false doctrine, you still got a chance to repent, bro, because what you talking about ain't it, bro. You don't even break nothing down. And then when you do take a wild stab in the dark to break something down, you off on that too, man, because you proud. I'm just going to tell you straight up, you proud, bro. You proud. You know? You got to get rid of that old man, just like everybody else, man. You ain't the only person that's exempt from getting rid of the old man. And Pharaoh said unto him, Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Right? So when you have an understanding of the scriptures or interpretation, you're able to succeed in captivity, man. Right? And later on, it'll go on to tell you that Joseph, the rest of his family, ended up coming down to Egypt, man, and he was in a rulership seat. Right? All right, now let's get Daniel. Let's get Daniel. Is it Daniel 7? I think it's Daniel 7. You see the Daniel? Yeah, let's try Daniel 2 first. All right, let me see. Yep. All right, let me see how long this chapter is. I might go through the whole chapter. I might just get the point. But the whole thing is about being able to break down the understanding, man. Matter of fact, before I get that, I'm going to get Matthew 13. Let's get Matthew 13 first. All right. All right, this is Matthew chapter 13, verse 1. It says, the same day went Yahushua out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, right? We like it in these parables to the dreams, right? You got to be able to interpret it, right? All right. So he goes into the parable of the sower, right? He goes into the parable of the sower, and he mentions that you're gonna have seed that fall on stony ground, seed that gets scorched, seed that fall among thorns, right? So the people that heard that parable, all they heard about was the different seeds and what they could possibly land on, and they had to walk away with that, right? And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou in parables? Why you ain't telling them what it is? Right? Why you don't just tell them the whole thing? That don't make too much sense, what you just told them. Right? He answered and said unto them, he said, because it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Right? So if the Lord didn't give it to you, you ain't gonna have it. Right? It says, for whosoever to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance, but whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Right? Which is going past what I was talking about. But that's what I'm saying. The Lord said, it's for you to understand. He just left it. If you don't get it, the Lord ain't worried about it. But he actually pulled the disciples to the side and he broke that whole thing down. Right? Let me see. Alright. It says, for verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them. Meaning they don't get it. All they get is the parable. They don't get the understanding of the parable. Right? And if you don't have the understanding of the parable, you just left to your own devices and you're going to do and say whatever you think it is. And you see that shit all the time. It says, and to hear the things which he heard and have not heard them. It says, hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. And then he went into the parable. He didn't just stop. When it came to the disciples and the people that's supposed to know, he let them know. That's what I'm saying. Come on, man. Now, if you have a specific crowd that you're dealing with, then just deal with that crowd. Don't get up. Don't try to put yourself on no international level if you local, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you want to limit the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai to the hood, the rest of the world ain't gonna hear you, nigga. And then he goes into the breakdown, right? It says when anyone hears the word of the kingdom and understand it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which is sown in his heart. This is he which receives seed by the wayside. So he put that parable out there, and everything that he needed to make a point on, he made a point on when it came time to expound on it, man. He telling you which one is which. If you can't tell me which one is which, then you're not teaching. You're just talking. But he that receives seed in stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receive it. Yet he had not rooted himself, right? So you got people that is sweet in the belly, but then as soon as it get bitter, they out. It described them, right? As seed that fell on the ground. Come on, dog. You got to explain that. You mentioned the beast, you didn't explain it. You mentioned the mark, you didn't explain it. Here it is, you mentioning all these things that people need to know, and you ain't breaking none of it down. None of it. But you got your fucking chest poked out. But he that receives seed in stony places, he is the same that heareth the word and anon with joy receive it. Yet he had no root in him, but dureth for a while. Yet when tribulation and persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. Right? He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke out the word and become unfruitful. So all these different things can happen to you when you hear the word. That got to be explained, bro. And you didn't explain it. Gonna sat up there with a microphone for 2 damn hours. That's what's wrong with you niggas, man. That's what's wrong with you Israel niggas. Fuck out of here, bro. Oh, man. You know what? I might say this Daniel for another lesson. You know what I'm saying? Just to continue to show these people that the interpretation is a gift given by Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. I already been going 40 minutes, man. You know? But the thing is, hey, Lord willing, I might just use as many examples as the Spirit will reveal to me. You know what I'm saying? When the understanding is there. The Lord gave the understanding to who's supposed to get it, man. You don't got it, bro. You don't got it. Like I said in my last lesson, you read, you study. I'm not going to take that away from you. But you don't have the proper doctrine of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, bro. Especially if you're going to diminish and deny the power of the Lord. That's all I got, man. With that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well, who teach the truth all the time, on a regular basis. And so do the like-minded men that's under them, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the Akim, teaching about the mind while mouth. That's in sincerity and truth. Shalom. Make their ass teach, man. It's learn or burn at this point.